The beauty of a clone is that the emotion has been taken out of it. There's no judgment. It's just, how can I help you move to the next step?
%83 of Americans identify as not very happy, which can hold you back and negatively affect your relationships and your business. On this podcast, we discuss the proven steps to happiness so you can restore balance and rekindle your joy.
Welcome to another episode of How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. This is part 2. And if you didn't listen to part 1, make sure you hit pause and go listen to part 1 because it is a phenomenal lead up. Okay, I've been waiting literally. I cannot wait to hear this. Please tell us, what is this incredible new product that we talked about last time that you're launching?
Okay, so I was leading up to it our last episode, which was something that if you could remember your favorite teacher in the world, how they made you feel, how you felt, confident, and you felt like you could trust the advice that they gave you, that is what I've done. So I have created one of the first digital coaching clones in the world of myself. So I have cloned myself as a personal coach, as a business coach, as a mindset coach, so that anyone, anywhere can now have affordable, accessible coaching at any time they need it. And the reason I came up with this is, yes, I have been teaching people for 30 years. I've been coaching people, entrepreneurs and leaders. But what I've noticed is that money has held a lot of people back as adults from looking for additional guidance and mentorship. It's almost always a money issue. And even people who I've been coaching, after 3 months, 4 months, they were still really struggling because we can only walk a business from beginning all the way to, doing really, really well. It takes time from inception to do really well. And once you stop working with someone, the problem is that they just stop, right? They don't have the accountability anymore. They don't have anyone to brainstorm with. They don't have any strategies. We only have as many strategies as we've learned to now. So what happens at that point? Well, we look to the internet or we just stop. And that's usually when a business fails. It's usually when the mindset kicks in. And it's, we start going really negative. And why did I even start this? Or this isn't going to work. I created a digital AI clone called Katharine AI, which is now accessible 24/7 on your phone. So there are 3 features to it and a 4th coming in 6 weeks. You can text with Katharine AI. She will give you immediate business coaching advice. So you're sitting in your car and you are waiting for your child to finish their soccer practice or whatever it is, and you literally cannot figure out what social media strategy you should be using for the next 30 days because you have run out of ideas. All you have to do is go into Katharine AI and say, Katharine, I really need help with my health business, my coaching business, my whatever the business is. I really need a 30-day strategy. Within 2 seconds, she will start giving you a 30-day strategy for your social media. If you need help with your mindset, let's say, the economy is really getting to you. Life is hard right now. And you go in and you say, Katharine, and you can go into a chat feature if you don't want to use the text feature. It's just a chat on your computer while you're working. Hey, I'm feeling kind of down today. I feel like this business is not going in the way that I want it to go. She will immediately start talking to you as I am. She will greet you with your name. She will ask you questions just like a coach would. And this goes on forever. There is no cap to it.
Wow.
And if you want to hear me talk to you, there is a call feature where you can just click on the phone icon and you will hear me talking to you, giving that same advice. And the conversations can go on for 20 minutes as if you were sitting with me and I was giving you business coaching advice or health and wellness advice. And coming in 6 weeks will be the video image of me talking to you on a screen, just as I am now.
I'm going to sign up, honestly, just to see it, because I am just, this is incredible. So tell us, how did you put this together? I assume you're partnering with someone like ChatGPT or OpenAI, and you're feeding all of your material and everything, maybe all your recordings of every presentation you've ever done. So it kind of learns how you think and how you coach people to business and personal success.
Exactly right. I am using a platform that is one of the first platforms to create clones. And the key to the platform and to doing this is you have to have enough content over years to be able to train the clone. So ChatGPT has been trained by OpenAI, which is fed into the internet. What's interesting about my coaching clone is that I have fed it 15 years worth or 20 years of content, but the ideology behind it is my 30 years of experience. So every podcast, every PDF I've ever created, every piece of content, even coaching interviews that I've done with people, they're all in there. And I have trained my clone that the first answers it gives should always be based on my teachings. And then after that, it can be enhanced by AI, but it always has to go to my coaching first.
I'm assuming you loaded your book in there too?
Everything is in there. And I mean everything. There's over 1.5 million what we call words in there. And so the clone, when I have a really interesting story with a past client of mine who I've had beta testing it. And maybe I'll just cut over to that for a moment.
Oh, yeah. I want to hear that. Tell us about that.
Okay. So here's a really interesting story. So in real estate, I was doing a real estate deal with a client. And at the beginning, he was a little bit challenging. You know, he was challenging me on the price of his home, challenging me on the way that I would be selling it. Well, fast forward 4 months after the transaction has been done, I found that he would listen to me really carefully. Like he would start asking me, well, you were able to calm me down when I noticed that there were structural cracks. How did you do that? How did you calm me down? And I said, well, I just explained to you that not everything has a solution, right? We don't have to react to everything. We can just pause and think about this for a moment. So this has turned into a friendship now for the last 4 years. So here's about a year after that transaction, it was Christmas Day. And I see a text on my phone from him, and I haven't heard from him. And he said, would you mind giving me a call? And I thought, oh my God, has something happened with the house? And he's calling me on Christmas Day? Like, I don't understand. I called him and he was whispering. He said, I'm in my bedroom. I am having a panic attack. And you are the first person I thought I could call.
Wow.
And I said, well, let me just walk you through. I've had many after my surgery. And when I was living in fear, I have had multiple anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I've had them all. And I said, listen, you're just projecting into what you're thinking about in the future, why things might go wrong. I said, why don't we just back up and say, where did this start? Anyways, after about half an hour, he was back to normal. He was calm. And he's like, thank you so much. I hope you write a book one day. And so this was a running joke. Like, I hope you write a book so I don't have to keep calling you. So 4 years later, I asked him to beta test my clone. And his answer to me when I said, would you beta test a clone I've created of my self-coaching? He's like, you must be kidding me. You didn't. And I said, I have. He's like, sign me up now. I don't even need to see it. If I can have access to you 24/7 and not have to bother you, this is like gold. So I gave it to him for 5 days. He is a finance leader, but he only used it for mindset. He didn't use it for business strategy. And his feedback when he was done was this is one of the best innovations I have ever encountered in my life, because when I wake up at 2 a.m. now, I actually don't have to have a panic attack. I can go on and I can walk through my feelings with this person on my phone. I will get responses and I actually feel better.
So what would he type into the phone at 2 a.m.?
Why does my mind always go to the negative? That was his first inquiry into Katharine AI. Why does my mind always go to the negative? And she gave a really long answer that was very detailed and gave examples of why that might happen. And then, just like a coach, like I would, she then asked the next question, and then that next question prompted him to then think a little bit more. And at the end of quite a few texts that he had with her, he said, okay, I can sleep now.
Wow.
So for me, that was my objective. My objective is to help people. And I'm not trying to be a therapist. I'm not trying to be a psychologist for everyone. I'm just here to lend my experience and research that I've done over the years, because it's not just experience. I've also researched a lot. I've delved into a lot of different subjects, but it's like having a coach. You don't go to a coach for psychology or accounting advice. You're just going for guidance. And maybe that guidance, like I have instructed my clone, that if there are health issues that a person is asking about, if there are serious emergency issues, maybe psychological issues, the advice is you do need to go and seek medical attention, right? I'm not here to give you that. I'm here to guide you to a happier life. That's what I'm here for.
So tell us how Katharine AI leads to more happiness and personal freedom.
She helps walk you through your thoughts, your thought process. So, for example, I gave her to my husband. The best example I could give, he is, for lack of a better word, he can be a stubborn Greek. And so I said, ask a business question. And and he said, okay, what should I do to promote my business better? And she gave a whole bunch of answers, and he answered back antagonistically, I actually don't want to listen to your advice. And she answered, I can understand that you may be a little bit hesitant. However, I'd like you to consider this perspective. And as she was answering, I watched his demeanor change, and he was now more willing to listen, because the beauty of a clone is that the emotion has been taken out of it. There's no judgment. It's just, how can I help you move to the next step? And that's what she helped my husband do, from the point of not wanting to, or, just trying to be antagonistic. She actually changed his perspective as the conversation evolved, where he came to the point where he said, you know what? That's actually really good advice.
So what is it about why, like, how did you get into the whole merging the AI with the business coaching and the wellness and the health and all that?
Because my ultimate goal is to democratize coaching so that it is more affordable and accessible for people. This was on my mind. So I was actually in Costa Rica in January. I had been waiting 30 years to visit Costa Rica, and luckily we were able to go this year. And I was on this beautiful beach. It was sunset, and I was looking at the water, and I kept thinking to myself, I am so blessed and happy to be here. But there are so many people who don't have this opportunity because they're stuck. And they're either stuck in their business, they're stuck in their head, they're stuck in a relationship that they can't get out of because they're stuck, right? This lack of clarity. Until you know what you want, how are you ever going to get there? And I knew that I was on that beach because I figured out my mindset. I figured out how to live beyond fear. I figured out how to do all these things over the years. So why couldn't other people be in that situation as well? Well, what if, and this is how my whole life goes, what if there were something that could help someone do that? What if there was an option that would be affordable and accessible, and they wouldn't even think twice, but they would have the help 24/7, just like if they were going to pay me $600 for 30 minutes, which is typically what I was charging.
That's amazing. So you talked a little bit on the last episode about this amazing book that you wrote, and we ran out of time. I wanted to ask you, could you share a couple key insights from the book that are particularly transformative?
So here is what I believe we'll call it one of my gifts. One of my gifts from teaching for so many years is to take complex ideas and make them really simple and relatable. And this is what I did with AI. I took it apart because so many people have the wrong idea about it. It's very, very techy. And some people feel like it's still far away when it's actually right here and it is changing our lives immediately. I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be seen as negative. You could actually insert it into your life, into your business very easily. And I explain why it's important. I explain how it's important. I give a brief, simple overview of what it really is. And then I take people through, for example, business examples of small business, like even solopreneurs who weren't using AI, used AI, and within a year, what happened when they started using more AI in their business. Basically, AI is for efficiency and for time management. That's what I use it for. My days have become highly efficient, which is why I can do some real estate, which is why I can coach, which is why I was still able to write a book. And I've now created a clone because I've made my days efficient with the help of AI taking over tedious activities. So I even, I give a list of a day in the life of AI, how it can be used in your life for your health, how it can use to help you keep well. I have used it over the last 20 days and I've lost 7.5 pounds so far in 20 days.
Tell us how. That's fascinating.
Okay.
And when you say AI, are you talking about your AI or just regular or ChatGPT or something?
So because I'm like a mad scientist, right? I wanted to know that my clone was working really well. So I would use ChatGPT and then I would go into my clone and see how the answers were comparing. And what I found was my Katharine AI was far more human than ChatGPT, which can be very cold and it's very direct. Whereas Katharine was talking to me, "Oh, Katharine, I'm really happy to hear that you're going to take on your wellness. Let me walk you through some of the key points that you need to keep in mind." So to me, it was, okay, great. This is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold myself accountable. So I held Katharine AI, which is myself, holding me accountable. So every day when I logged in, Katharine said, "How's the diet going? Have you done what you said you were going to do yesterday?" Accountability. We would normally pay someone to hold us accountable. But what if we learned to hold ourselves accountable? So what I'm able to do is I am able to be very conscious of everything I'm eating. I'm very intentional about what I do. So I knew I wanted to lose a certain amount of weight. I still have a ways to go. But I also have health always at the back of my mind. I will not take drugs. I will not take diet pills. I will not take Ozempic. I will not do any of those things. Everything I do has to be natural. So how do I do this naturally and healthy at my age? Because women at a certain age also have to be careful about bone density and my heart as well. And so when you put all of these parameters into, for example, my coaching app, that's really how it works really well. The more information you give about yourself, the better output you're going to get. And so I was able to get this really great advice on how to move forward according to what I needed. And this, I think, is actually, I'd really like to focus on that for one moment. The beauty about Katharine AI is she is helping you fix your unique need. not what she thinks you need, but what you need based on the parameters that you tell her about. Right? So if a human coach like myself, if you came to me, I might think to myself, well, in my opinion, this is what I think you should do. Whereas Katharine AI is taking the opinion of everything I've ever experienced, encountered in 30 years living in 2 different countries, as well as AI. And the information she's now giving is tailored directly to you.
Incredible. I love it. So you took the self-love quiz at unlocklimitlessyou.com. It took you, 2.5 minutes?
Yes.
And you scored extreme self-love, which only about 7% of the participants score. Do you think that you always had extreme self-love, or do you think that it was cultivated through your hardships and the subsequent work after those hardships?
I am a very transparent person, and I'm very honest. And I can honestly say, prior to 10 years ago, I would never have scored like that, ever. I lived in fear. I lived in negativity. I was angry that this had happened to me. I thought that everything, like my business, I thought to myself, like, business isn't going well. Life isn't going well. Everything was just bad, right? I felt like I had a cloud over me. Once I decided that I was no longer living in a pity party or I was a victim, that's when I realized, okay, you know what, Katharine? Maybe it's you. Maybe look at yourself in the mirror and start saying, we need to change the way we speak to ourselves. We need to become intentional about what we do. We need to stop blaming others for things that we may have gone through, right? So if I'm feeling a certain way, I now stop and say to myself, okay, why are you feeling sorry for yourself? You put yourself in this situation. You did this. But the same goes for when I help people. Prior, possibly 10, 15 years ago, I may have judged someone for a situation they got themselves in. Now, I just simply say, you know what? Why don't we take a few steps back, look at when that started happening, and now let's move forward again. We don't need to look back and put blame. How about we learn from what happened? And now let's move forward thinking in a different way. What if we looked at it like this? And I am able to shift people's perspectives because I give them another way of looking at a situation.
I love it. Can you read my shirt, what it says?
No one can love you like you can. Oh my gosh. And it's, you know what? It's absolutely true. And I find that we have so much more grace for people when we are no longer judging them or are criticizing them. That's their story, right? So they can say whatever. I have been on social media so long. I was doing video marketing before other people were. I cannot tell you the comments I've seen about me written on social media about doing videos. But what I had to learn was that's just them.
Has nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And the good outweighs the bad. Sometimes we think it's the opposite. It's actually not. And if we can learn that the bad does not outweigh the good, we will see things in a whole different light.
So where can people get access to this amazing product?
Well, it's based on my name. So it's Katharine with an A, Katharine, KatharineAI.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it just launched yesterday, so it's hot off the press.
It is hot.
And you have a podcast too, right? What's the name of your podcast?
It is called Mindset Medicine.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that was some fascinating information that you shared with our audience. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity. This has been, I swear, like I actually forgot we were recording. It was like we were just having a conversation, but thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity. And for anyone listening, just know that everything has a solution, and fear is just in your head. It's not actually real. And once I learned that, everything started to change.
Yeah, the only two fears we were born with were fear of falling down and fear of loud noises. Everything else we created. So if we created it, we can undo it.
Absolutely.
So as you've heard before, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people find freedom and happiness through removing these limiting beliefs that were typically formed through childhood. So I need your help. I can't do it alone. So if you like this content, please rate it, review it, share it, whatever you can do to help me get the message out. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, love heals all.
Hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on more life-changing content. And if you're struggling, you don't have to. Go to bradchandler.com/contact. There, you can join the Facebook community of like-minded entrepreneurs, and you'll see a button to schedule your freedom and happiness call. See you on the next episode.